You are listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast, where we interview the city's most interesting people who are making a positive difference in our community. Hey everyone, I'm the host of the Life in Attleboro podcast, Mike Sullivan. Right now, there's an important effort to bring a monument to Capron Park. It's called the Global War on Terrorism Monument, a permanent fixture to honor the men and women from Attleboro who have helped fight in the ongoing war against global terrorism. Enjoy episode 41 of the Life in Attleboro podcast. Joining me now is Julie Hall. Julie is a leading member of Attleboro's Global War on Terrorism Monument Committee. She's also a retired Air Force colonel. Thank you for your service, Julie. And she serves on several committees in our great city and across the state as well. So, Julie, I really appreciate you taking the time to be a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
No, thank you. It's my honor to be here.
It is my honor. I want to start at the beginning here. So, Attleboro has a Global War on Terrorism Monument Committee. What is the mission and the main goal of that committee?
So the first thing I want to focus on is to make very clear that this is to honor the service members after the attack of September 11th that responded to that attack. And that's when this war began. So we want to honor those folks that did serve in those particular campaigns. And those campaigns predominantly were in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, and that part of the world. Another really interesting point is this has been a war that's been going on for over 20 years and still continues today. This is one of America's longest wars that we've ever been in. As I said, there are still people out there right now serving to fight against the global war on terrorism.
I understand there is a giant effort happening here in the city to bring a monument to be erected. Where would the monument be located and what would it look like?
Sure. We've actually tossed around a few places, but I'm really glad. I'm going to tell you, I'm very happy to hear that we've landed at Capron Park. And I'm happy because I think Capron Park is a historical center of our community.
Yes.
And I love the park. I remember the park very much as when I was a little girl. So I'm very honored that we are going to have it at Capron Park. And I understand that it's going to be very near the September 11th monument,
okay,
which I think is fitting because that's the prelude to how this all began. We're in a good place. We're working very closely with the Parks Commission, and thank you to the Parks Commission for working very well with us. We really appreciate it. So that's where it's going to go, and I'm very happy about it.
That is exciting news for sure. So I heard you say we. So how did the committee get started in the first place, and how many members are there?
This was requisitioned, if you would, by Mayor Kathleen DeSimone, who said, you know what, we probably need to be honoring the men and women that served in this war. We have all these other monuments around, and it's time to do that. The war's been going on long enough to know that some people who served and who's from Attleboro. So that's how it started. I call it the Committee of 10. There's 10 of us. And some of us have military backgrounds. Some of us are just from civilian organizations. But we're a group of volunteers. We're all volunteers. None of us have any explicit expertise in monument building or fundraising. I don't want to scare people away by saying that because we've done a really good job.
Yeah.
If you could see the designs that we started off with and where we came and where we have come today, it's just, the transformation is just beautiful. And we are very pleased with the end state of what we're seeing. The monument itself is actually made of 3 columns, if you would. And each of those columns represents a place that was attacked in this country during September 11th. So we do have to have some representation about September 11th because that's how this all started. The pillars, if you would, the 3 pillars on the 2 sides are angled in. And a lot of people misunderstand. They say when they look at it, it looks like the Twin Towers. It's never meant to be the Twin Towers. It just represents the 3 individual sites. So we don't correct people. That's what they see. That's what they see. But there is representation all throughout this monument. The across, I think, is 9 feet, and the pillars are 11 feet. So you also have September 11th thing still coming through on that. It is going to be made out of Barre granite. It's being designed by a gentleman named Robert Shore, who's a world-renowned monument designer.
Wow.
And we're working with him very closely, and thank goodness for him. He's done a million of these things, thank goodness, and he's helped us out a lot, very lenient with us in terms of when to send in the money and so forth and so on. He's just been great, very good with his time with us. There is some symbolism that's on the monument. If you look at the monument, and anybody that gets a chance to see it, and I'll tell you where the website's going to be before we finish this,
Yes.
you can see it. Looks like a chain. And I'd like to bring that in attention because one of our GWAT members, person that was in the GWAT, and we actually have two on the team that actually served.
Oh, wow.
So they were very adamant about having a chain of some sort. And we also have the globe, because this is a global mission. This is a global war on terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
And the chain represents the protection of the soldiers, if you would, protecting the world. And they thought that was just very important. So we made sure we put that in. Then, of course, there's the Attleboro symbols on there. There's a couple of quotes on there. Every service is represented on there, too. So
wow.
It's a beautiful monument. We're so proud of it.
Yeah, very thoughtful symbolism, too, there. So you mentioned that some of the committee members, including yourself, have military service. You are a retired Air Force colonel. Again, thank you for your service. My father was in the Air Force. He served for 10 years. I was born on an Air Force base in Germany back in the early 80s. So my question to you is, and I heard you say GWAT, so why is the Global War on Terrorism Monument, why is this effort so important to you, Julie?
I particularly did not serve in Afghanistan or Pakistan or Iraq. I would be what you consider support services. I'm a medic by trade, a medical administrator. We do see a lot of the soldiers that came back. When I was at Andrews Air Force Base, in particular, we had to recover some of those people coming back from these wars. And just an incredible, I could tell you a story of one guy that he was holding his helmet, and the helmet must have been a piece missing out of it. And I noticed his arm was all stapled up. That's what they do now. They staple. When I reached out my hand to shake his hand, and I said, I'm sorry, because I saw his hand had the staples. And all he told me was that helmet saved his life, but he wished that he could go back.
Wow.
With his comrades. That's why it's very important. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up here, but that's why it's very important to let these folks know that we do honor them. We honor the sacrifices that they made and that they continue to make. It's very important because a lot of people that haven't been in the service do not understand the trauma and the horrific things that these folks have to experience in wartime. I always tell people, it's like the police force. We hire people for the military to do the things that either we don't want to do or we can't do, or it's just not the right thing to send every citizen to go out and fight. But you want to make sure that you have a service that is trained to protect the world or to protect the United States. And we just have to remember that's what these folks are doing for us.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. And you're absolutely right. And it's not just the things that they see and have to do overseas while in battle, but the things that they bring home with them. So a very important monument effort here. So you mentioned it's just not just the committee needs to raise a lot of money here.
Correct.
There's a $100,000 goal by June. So we're recording here on March 14th. Where do the fundraising efforts stand as we stand right now?
I'm really happy to say that I wanted to be at 50%. And to be honest, that's where we are. We're at $50,000 right now.
Wow.
So we have to raise $100,000. I'll tell you, we have left no stone unturned.
Yeah.
I've learned to be a great grant writer. Okay. One of the things I can tell you is we did get a $20,000 grant from the state. It's called the SHRAB grant, which is a Historical Records Advisory Board, State Historical Records Advisory Board grant. And it was for $20,000 or up to, and we got $20,000. Wow. They just thought it was a wonderful thing. It fit right into their Veterans Heritage Grant is what it's called from there. So that kicked us off very well. It started off nicely. But again, we're not professional fundraisers. We're doing the best that we can. We started out originally just going out and showing the monument at different places, any place we could. We went to the mall. We have a beautiful monument model that's set up that people can actually see what it's going to look like. I think that's
cool.
just incredible. Robert
Yeah.
Shore made that for us, and Frank Cook also, who is, a lot of people know Frank Cook has been very much involved with restorations of some of the monuments here in Attleboro. He's on the committee. And one of the things I'd like to mention, if I could, just the people that are on the committee, because it's taken a diverse group of people and trying to get them to do something this powerful for this much money can really cause a lot of tension. And it's been a great team, and we've worked together. So, of course, I'm one of the co-chairs, Laura DeSimone. She was an Army lieutenant, and she is my other co-chair. Neil Bowie is a young man that goes to college, I think in Connecticut, and he set up our website. I'll mention the website right now. So it's www.attleboro.org, not .com, .org. That is our website. Everything's on there. You can actually go in and there's a QR code and you contribute from that website if you like. Perfect. So Neil took care of all of that. It's a beautiful website. Of course, we have Frank Cook, who is a civilian, and he's got over 30 plus years of service to this city.
Wow.
He was the city council president for the longest time. I had the honor of serving with him for a short period of time on the city council. That was great. Wow. We have Brian Donato, who is a Marine Corps member, and he was also in Afghanistan himself.
Wow.
We have Paul Jakes, who is Air Force, and I don't know if Paul, but Paul is a firefighter by trade, and he, I think, is one in part of the union, the professional firefighters at this point in time. So that's really good because there's a lot of veterans that are part of the firefighters and the police officers.
Right.
We have Scott Mercier, great guy. Scott was very active in the Elks, and he has been very active with the veterans for a very long time. But his connection to the Elks has really been important to us. The Elks actually paid $5,000 for the bench. Wow. We have a bench and the monument, which I didn't mention. There's a bench that's going to go with it. The Great. Elks bought the bench. So thank you to the Attleboro Elks. And it's 1014, I think is their lodge number.
Okay.
But they are also going to host, we're going to throw it, but they're allowing us to use their pavilion. They're even bringing in the food. We're going to have a huge barbecue. It's going to be at the Elks. We're going to have a whole bunch of items that people can raffle on and people can put their name on it because we're going to have a silent auction. The food's going to be great. We're going to have a band, a live band there. Wow. It's going to be fun. And we hope to raise a lot of money also. But again, the Elks stepping up for us again. And they've also committed extra funds.
Wow.
Towards the end. Okay. So their lodge, the riders gave something. Now the lodge, the general lodge is also going to contribute. So enough on Scott. Scott's been really good too. He's been very good. He works with printing. And so he's been able to get a lot of our printing and designs done for us.
Okay.
Ben Quell, who is our veteran service officer. He's also from the Army. Shane Rio, also from the Army. And Shane was also a global war on terrorism soldier. So he's been there. And then we have Walter Thibodeau. Walter Thibodeau is a veteran. He's an Air Force veteran. He's also a member of Post 312. Now, a lot of the members that are here too are also veterans that are like myself. I'm a member of everything, the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, and some of these other folks are also parts of those. We did get a $5,000 donation from the VFW Post 115 already.
Wow.
Yeah, very nice. So we've been very lucky in our fundraising and the groups that have stepped up. But that's the committee members. And I did want to thank them because it's the same iteration that we went through. We sat there and stared at each other for a few months. And then all of a sudden it clicked. We started putting designs down. We'd have little arguments here and there, and then we'd vote. And everybody was very gracious about it. Wow. But again, when you're dealing with a huge amount of money that you have to raise, it gets a little bit tense. We're doing much better now. We all had to stay there with each other and say, don't worry, it'll be okay. So we've been each other's comrades, if you will, through the whole thing.
It's pretty impressive and powerful how a group of people with good hearts can come together and pull off something so powerful and for the people of Attleboro. So thank you to all of you for your service and your dedication in this project. For people, like you mentioned, for people who want to donate to the cause, they're Attleboro GWAT. capronpark.org is the website, and there's the QR code there. I'll include that link in the show notes of this episode for everybody as well.
And we also have a Facebook.
And then, yes, please join the Facebook. I followed that recently myself, so I'll include that as well. And then, Julie, I'll also include the fundraising information for that May date, whenever that is. Yeah, of course. If we can pull this off, if you guys can pull it off and we can come together as a city and raise that $100,000 by June, I understand there would be a very special ceremony in September. What would that look like?
So that's, again, coinciding with September 11th. Mm-hmm. We'd like to keep that symbolism going. That's our target, if you would, for having a dedication. Everybody that's, our high donors and people that have donated to us, we're going to make sure that we thank them at that time, invite them. And hopefully everybody that has donated will know to come, and it'll be in the paper. So we will have a very nice dedication at that time for this monument. It gets turned over to the city. That's really important. So once this monument gets erected, if you would, it has to be turned over to the city, and the city takes control over it. If for some reason, and if we're so blessed that we make over 100,000, that extra money will go into the maintenance for future years. Will go into the city. So we hope that we do. It's one of those failures, not an option, because we've already bought the granite. So we are well on our way to getting this done, and I feel very comfortable. We have had a number of people that, because when we go and we speak to people, they see the panic in our eyes about the money. And we've had a lot of commitments from people saying, hey, listen, if you don't make the whole at the end, we'll step in and help you out. So I think we're going to be okay because for the veterans. And I think that people realize that, and they want to make sure that this is a monument that this city can be proud of, and that we can also honor all of these people from GWAT time and their family members. There's a lot of family members in the area too. We want this to be a lasting monument, a beautiful monument. When we talked about it at the beginning, we had all kinds of crazy ideas, and we all kept saying, this needs to be something honorable, something basic, not a whole lot of craziness to it, just very basic, very honorable, very military. And I think that's what we've come up with. The monument focuses on the campaign, as I said, and follows the response afterwards. So everything that they're going to see, there's an American flag, all the services are going to be etched in there. In the middle panel is a huge globe of the world, a flat globe, if you would. Yep. Originally, one of the things that I said is, I don't care what's on it, but there's got to be a globe. And there was many iterations of that. This ended up, it's beautiful. And then you'll see the chain on the same middle panel. There is Attleboro, the symbol of Attleboro with the wreath. If anybody's ever seen, but very beautiful, not just the symbol itself, but the wreath around it. Again, it all stays very military. And then there's a few quotes on there that are very appropriate to it.
I was going to ask how many times the committee has met. Not an exact number, but is it, since it started, how many times have you guys met?
So we didn't get kicked off till 2024. Again, we took the most of our time from, I would say, May, June, looking at the design and coming up with the design, because that was the most important thing to us at the time. And we didn't really get to fundraising right off the bat. As I said, we're a group that we're feeling our way through. Then we realized, oh my God, we really need to get on this fundraising. And since that time, we've met we started reading once a month, and that's why it went a little bit slow at the beginning. Okay. And then we decided we really need to be meeting at least twice a month. Okay. So then we started to meet twice a month. The good thing is every meeting, almost everybody's there. It's unusual to have maybe one or two people that have other things that they just couldn't get out of. Sure. But people have been dedicated to coming to this meeting and making this happen. Laura and I went out to one of the festivals, and I do remember it was very cold, one of these winter festivals, actually up at the Highland Park. We set up the monument. That was our first introduction, and people were coming over and looking at it. Interesting, people would give us money there, and we took it to the mall. We've taken it around a lot of places, and I remember it was cold. We've reached out to every business that we possibly could that does business in Attleboro. And if you're a business out there that we haven't reached out, I apologize. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm easy to find. I'm also on Facebook too, under Julie Hall. And where you can find us through the city. If you call and talk to the VSO. Please, I'm in the process of every bank. And the thing is, what's difficult, and I'll say this up front, one of the difficulties is we're a veteran organization, so we're not a 501c3.
Gotcha.
We're a 501c19. But people don't understand that we are still a not-for-profit organization, and you can still deduct this from your taxes. But a lot of places, they automatically go to 501c3. So that's been a little bit of a difficulty for us, but not really at all, because people, they're like, so what, we're going to donate anyways.
Yeah.
And usually you can find there's grant sides of giving, and there's also community sides of giving. Mm-hmm. So Lowe's have something. I applied to a Lowe's grant, Home Depot, CVS. I don't want to put pressure on people, but again, this is a lot of money to raise.
Sure, of course.
Number one. And number two, this is a community monument. Right. It's not a veteran monument. It is a community monument. Even though it represents the veterans, we want the community to also be part of this, have their name on it. Couldn't be any better if we had everybody, every business from possible. Some of the business have been contacted and even they donated, but they're also donating items for our silent auction for the barbecue. All right. So even though they may not have thousands of dollars, they're donating to us. And that's very appreciated also. People have given us time, like at every one of the events. Laura and I are going to be at the Spring Fling that's coming up, and we're going to have the monument set up there. She's had a couple of events down at Bliss Dairy. Thank you to Bliss and Uno's. What happens is if you go in and mention the GWAT during the times that we were there, we got a percentage off the bill.
Oh, cool.
We have a bag program when you go to Stop and Shop. If you buy one of their bags for the entire month of April for the Stop and Shop on Pleasant Street, we will get, I think it's $1 for every one of those bags. So please, if you need to buy bags and you people that are environmentally conscious and you want to buy the bags, April would be the time to do it for us. Right. So good, we appreciate that. So again, we have been very innovative, if you would, and looking at every possible thing that's going on out there. People have been also suggesting, hey, did you talk to these people? Did you do this? And very, like I said, very gracious to us and helping us through this project. If there's something out there and you haven't heard from me, please contact me. We will take your money because we really need it. We really need it.
Absolutely. Julie, you've covered so much, but is there anything else that you'd like the people of Attleboro to know about the efforts to get this beautiful monument standing proudly in our city?
I want to say that, again, this is a community monument. We want the community to be involved. The veterans themselves, they want the community. This is our opportunity in the city to show our veterans how much we really do appreciate them. One of the things is we look around and we see there's the Civil War monument that Frank worked on. There's the Korean monuments downtown. Mm-hmm. There's all these monuments that are around the city. And this is for, again, service members and their families that are serving in a war that still continues today. I don't know if there's anybody out there. I think there's probably a young generation that doesn't remember where they were on September 11th.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what happened during that time. It was a very devastating time for the United States. And again, for these people to step up and to be in the situations that they have been in Afghanistan. I had a son. My son went to Balad.
Wow.
They had to, or Bagram, I think it was. They had to actually helicopter him in. Could you imagine having to be helicoptered in and dropped in the middle of a city where nobody wants you there?
Right.
And you're surrounded by people that could pretty much shoot you or terrorist attack you on any given day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember him showing me, I asked him how things were going, and he went around his room because they can get Zoom on there, which was good and bad. But he would go around his room and show me all his rifles and all his ammo. And I'm like, that's not making me feel any better.
Yeah.
So families go through this too.
Amen.
All I thought the whole time was, I'm going to be talking to him, and all of a sudden he's going to say, I got to go, and there'll be all kinds of noise, and I would be worrying the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So again, this is for this community. This is for the families of the folks, and everybody knows them, and the friends. You have friends, you have family. Somebody knows somebody that fought in this war or continues to serve in this war. So that's one of the biggest things I want to say is this is something for all of us to come together. I hope that this group of us 10 have made the rest of the community proud. We think we have. We think we made an honorable monument, and we hope you feel the same way and are willing to donate to get this thing in the ground and on September 11th dedicated and turned over to the city.
Thank you for sharing your story, your mission, and your passion for this project. Julie Hall, a leading member of the city's co-chair, member of the Global War on Terrorism Monument Committee, and retired Air Force Colonel yourself. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Thank you. We really appreciate the time you've given us.
My pleasure. What a great group of Attleboro residents joining forces for such a great cause. Again, if you'd like to make a donation, I've posted the link in the show notes of this episode. Hey, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Hoban Accounting Services. If you're a small business owner, you know how much of a hassle it can be to keep track of every penny earned and every penny spent. But thankfully, Hoban Accounting Services is on a mission to heal your headaches and fizzle your frustration when it comes to crunching those pesky numbers. Hoban Accounting Services has helped local businesses for more than 7 years. That's when Nicole Hoban, a proud mother of twin girls, launched her business. She's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor with tons of awards to her name. If you mention the Life in Attleboro podcast, you'll get 10% off for your first 6 months. If you'd like to support a small business owner in our city, just tap the link in the show notes of this episode and Nicole will be in touch. Hoban Accounting Services. A great bookkeeper should be an asset, not an expense. More than 1,200 people have signed up for the Life in Attleboro email list. We send one email every Friday. It includes exclusive offers from our sponsors, early access to every new podcast episode, and you'll stay in the know about cool events in our great city. Just go to lifeinattleboro.com and you'll see the sign-up display right there on the homepage. You'll also see the sign-up button at the top of our Life in Attleboro Facebook page. And if you know someone who would make a great guest on our podcast, please shoot us an email at lifeinattleboro@gmail.com. Life in Attleboro is a great thing. Support our community, promote positivity, and make a stranger smile. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast.